All right, everybody, welcome into the Denver Nuggets Altitude Sports Radio post-game show in the paint. I'm your host, Dan Tanner, to break down the Bucks and Nuggets in Milwaukee this evening. Wow, what a just frustrating game to watch if you were a Nuggets fan watching this basketball game. I can't remember a game where the Nuggets missed as many wide-open shots as they did tonight in Milwaukee against Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Milwaukee Bucks. I believe they missed 7 or 8 layups in the first quarter of tonight's game. It was just one of those games where it really seemed like every shot had no chance of going in tonight. Christian Brown missed 3 layups in that first quarter. He struggled tonight. Really, the only Nuggets player who I thought was consistently good throughout was Nikola Jokic. He obviously gets his 27th triple-double of the season, finishes with 32 points, 13 of 16 shooting, so super efficient from Nikola Jokic as well. 14 rebounds and 10 assists, like I said, for his 27th triple-double of the season. But this was just an extremely frustrating game to watch if you're a Denver Nuggets fan. Aaron Gordon shoots 4 of 13 from the field, just 1 of 6 from 3. Michael Porter Jr. We got to have a conversation about Michael Porter Jr. because after the best 3-game stretch of his career, right before the All-Star break, he obviously hurts the hamstring, misses a couple of extra games. But after the best 3-game stretch of MPJ's career, he's followed that up with probably the worst 4-game stretch of his career, or at least over the last 4 or 5 seasons for Michael Porter Jr. He just looks lost out there right now, and it was really struggling shooting the basketball again tonight. Just 2 of 11 from three-point land, 5 of 22 overall was Michael Porter Jr. tonight. So, look, I don't think that Michael Malone will do this, but I think it's time we have a serious conversation about should Michael Porter Jr. be coming off the bench for the foreseeable future and Russell Westbrook be inserted into the starting lineup. Now, I know Russ is technically a guard, but he's big enough and strong enough to play that forward role. He really is sort of a Swiss Army knife. Now, look, Russ didn't have a great game tonight either. I mean, he was just 4 of 13 from the field, 1 of 4 from 3, 10 points, but he was a +7, whereas Michael was a -20 tonight. That led the team in plus minus as far as the minus goes. In fact, no starter was in the positive tonight in the plus minus. Every starter was in the negative. Jokic was a -5. And then you had 3 of the 4 guys off the bench were in the plus. So it was one of those weird games, too, where the starters really struggled tonight, and the bench actually outperformed Milwaukee's bench significantly. So it was one of those just a weird game all around. You don't see the Nuggets miss as many open shots as they did tonight. But this 4-game stretch for Michael Porter Jr. has been very, very bad. There's no getting around that. Now, it's easy to sit here and hit the panic button and say, well, maybe he should come off the bench. But with the way he's playing and with the way that Russell Westbrook has looked when he's been in the starting lineup this year, how well he plays with Nikola Jokic and Jamal Murray and the rest of the starters, I think Michael Malone needs to seriously consider bringing in MPJ off the bench and starting Russell Westbrook, at least for the next week or 2, because clearly Michael has really struggled in the 4 games he's been back post All-Star break. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Should Michael Porter Jr. come off the bench and insert Russell Westbrook? I'd be interested to hear all your thoughts on that. All right, let's get to some of your comments here real quick before we dive deeper into this game. Marion Lou, appreciate you listening. Big bummer. Yeah, that was, like I said, just one of the more frustrating games I can ever remember watching as a Nuggets fan. If they hit half of those easy shots that they missed tonight, they win this game. I mean, that's really what we're talking about. So it was just very, very frustrating all around. Kelton Kennedy, appreciate you listening. Complete wet fart at the end of the game. No one can make a fourth quarter shot. It's interesting. Scott and Marlo were talking about on the broadcast. This was in the first half that Doc Rivers was talking about how mightily the Milwaukee Bucks have struggled in the fourth quarter this year. And it's like, okay, the Nuggets were down by 4 points heading into the fourth quarter. And it's like, okay, so they're actually in a pretty good spot right here, but they just completely collapsed in that fourth quarter defensively. They couldn't keep anybody from getting a straight line drive to the rim. I mean, that's all the Bucks were doing in that fourth quarter, was just taking it right to the rack, because they knew that the Nuggets couldn't stop them from doing that. And it wasn't just Giannis. It was Kyle Kuzma had like 5 or 6 drives to the rim in that fourth quarter. Brook Lopez, same thing. They found the Nuggets' weakness and they absolutely exploited it. So the Nuggets defensively tonight, not only the missed shots, the easy ones, hurt them, but the defense specifically in the fourth quarter, I thought really let them down tonight. It was way too easy for the Bucks to get to the rim, and this is the result that you get. Now, again, I've talked about this many times. I hate the blaming the ref guy. I try to do that as little as I possibly can, but man, did it seem like the Bucks were getting away with a lot of fouls tonight on Jokic and Murray. You saw Aaron Gordon pulling his jersey, saying they're pulling my jersey. I mean, the refs did let him play. There's no doubt about that. So I guess I'd rather see that than have them call every little ticky-tack foul. But man, did it seem like the Bucks were really, really getting away with a lot of fouls, especially near the rim. So it's like that just added to my frustration while watching this basketball game. But let me know in the comments. I said earlier, I think Michael Malone should seriously consider bringing in Michael Porter Jr. off the bench and starting Russell Westbrook, because whatever's going on with Michael right now is not good, and it's not helping this team in any way. So let him get healthy. Maybe they need to bench him for a couple of games. Just maybe the hamstring's not right. Although Katie Wingy on the broadcast tonight reported that Michael said his hamstring's feeling much, much better, and he's able to just kind of play freely and not have to worry about that. But he absolutely looks lost on the basketball court right now. So that'll be interesting to see. Let's see here. Mr. Bruntrock Croin. I was told by someone Milwaukee was garbage. Yeah, this is a great callback to our radio program. We have some betting person that does spots on our station, and they were talking trash on the show today, saying that the Bucks coach stinks and the Bucks are bad. Look, obviously that's not true. I mean, Doc Rivers is an excellent coach. He won an NBA championship, legendary player. The Bucks are a good team. Let's not get this twisted. Now, they had a really rough start to the year. I think they started like 2-8 or something like that, but they've come along, and they obviously get rid of Chris Middleton. They trade for Kyle Kuzma, who I thought actually played pretty well tonight. He looked like he's going to fit in nicely in Milwaukee, and Giannis is still just, once he gets rolling to the rim, that guy is an absolute freak show. I mean, he is nearly impossible to stop. But like I said, I mean, offensively for Denver, Jokic pretty much was doing whatever he wanted. And I was a little bit surprised that he didn't try to take over the game a little bit more from a scoring perspective. Now, I've said in the past many times that I prefer the games where Nikola Jokic doesn't have to get, 35 or more points, because typically the Nuggets don't win those games. They're at their best when he's in the 20 to 30 point range, and he's contributing by passing the ball. I think that's where this team is at their best, and I still do believe that. But there are certain games where you can just kind of feel like Nikola Jokic is going to have to score the basketball, especially in the fourth quarter. When he came back in with about 7 minutes to go, that was my first thought. It was like, Joker's going to just have to try and score every single time they go down the court. And he did a little bit, but not to the point where I thought it should have been. So just kind of frustrating all around tonight. It was just one of those games. And look, they've got a challenging game coming up tomorrow night in Detroit against the Pistons, who have won 8 games in a row. They just beat the Celtics by 20 last night. I mean, talk about a team that 2 years ago was the laughingstock of the NBA. And they're a playoff team this year. I believe they're in the 5 seed in the East right now. So this is no cakewalk coming up tomorrow for the Nuggets. The good news is the Nuggets are 10-1 on the second night of a back-to-back. So we'll see if that plays out tomorrow night against the Detroit Pistons. But this by no means is one of those gimme games that it was a couple of years ago going into Detroit and playing the Detroit Pistons. So it's going to be interesting to see how they respond to this game. Does Michael Malone stick with the starting 5 he had tonight? Really the starting 5 throughout that started this season. And I just have a feeling that if Michael continues to struggle like this, Malone might have to make a move to bring him in off the bench and start Russell Westbrook, because there was that portion earlier on in the season where Russ was starting and the Nuggets were playing very well. And Russell's a better defender than Michael is as well. So it's going to be interesting, but it's hard to tinker with your lineup at this point in the season. I mean, there's only a little over a month left of the regular season. So it's going to be interesting. Now, like I said, Russell has started earlier on this year and it worked. So that's why I would like to see, or at least be curious to see if Malone, wants to go back to that. But I want to show you the shot chart that Adam Maher tweeted out in the third quarter. So let me share my screen here. This is the Nuggets shot chart in the third quarter. I mean, this is, just take a look at this. Like, this is, look at all of these misses right near the rim in the restricted area. Like, this is not a typical Denver Nuggets squad. And then you've got all of these misses on the perimeter, on the outside. So that really is kind of, a sign that the Nuggets just could not make like the easy bunny shots tonight, which is just so weird for this team. You really don't see that happen all that much. So let's keep getting to your comments here. Kelton Kennedy, that MPJ 3-pointer attempt under 2 minutes would have changed the whole game. Yeah, I'm not specifically sure what you're mentioning there. I can't specifically remember that play, but I know Michael hit one late in the game, but at that point, the game was already over. And Scott said it on the broadcast. The Nuggets were in this thing. They had a chance with about 3.5 minutes to go. I think it was a 10-point game. I mean, they had enough possessions to get there. They started off by getting 2 stops. So, and then 2 buckets on the other end. But they and then Giannis goes to the free throw line, and then that's really when they just kept getting to the rim, and the Nuggets just made it way too easy for them to score the basketball. So I thought that was interesting. I got Kevin. Hey, DT. What's up, Kevin? Appreciate you listening. Kevin also says after tonight, he deserves to ride the pine. I believe you're talking about Michael Porter Jr. Like, look, let me be clear. I'm not advocating for them to just straight up bench Michael Porter Jr. because I don't think that helps anybody. This team needs Michael Porter Jr. to be playing at the level he was during that 3-game stretch before the All-Star break. If this team has any chance of winning a title this year, they are going to need Michael Porter Jr. to be a consistent performer and be really productive in this offense in order for them to have a chance at winning a championship. So let me be very clear about that. They've got to figure out a way to get him going. And the only thing I can think of is to bring him in off the bench. Maybe that lights a spark on it under him a little bit. Maybe he would feel a little bit more free to just sort of do his own thing when he's out there. I mean, I don't know. At this point, there's not really many other options that Malone has as far as ways to get Michael Porter Jr. going. But we'll see. We'll see what he does. All right, let's see here. Kelton says that Brown on Lopez dunk was awesome. Yeah, that's, I believe, in the fourth quarter where he flexed at the end. It was the and one. That was fantastic. And again, that was still a point in the game where the Nuggets were we're in this thing. But let's see. Kevin responds here, says, no, MPJ deserves to be on the bench for the whole month. Well, the month's almost over. I mean, there's only one more day after today of February. So sure, bench him for tomorrow night. Obviously, I'm being a little facetious there. I don't think that's the answer. I don't think benching Michael Porter Jr. for an extended period of time is the answer, unless it's health related. I mean, who knows? Maybe his hamstring is bugging him a little bit more than he's leading on, but we'll see. The Loop Digga says, so much for Vic's keys to the game. You'll have to fill me in there, Loop, please, on what Vic's keys were specifically to the game. One of my keys before the game was stop the Bucks from getting easy drives to the basket. That's what killed them, at least on the defensive end. What really killed the Nuggets in this game was their inability to hit shots. Like, and not just any shot. I'm talking like the easy, wide open shots around the rim. That's really what did them in this game. I thought for at least the first three quarters, the Nuggets played well enough on the defensive end to get a win in this game. The fourth quarter was a different story. Their defense just absolutely collapsed in the fourth quarter, and that killed them. But really, it wasn't like this was just a one quarter or one half type of deal that they were missing these easy shots. This was throughout the game. I mean, you could hear Scott and Marlo on the broadcast, like every time they miss a layups, you could hear Scott just like, classic Scott grumbling. So yeah, that was the easy shots that were missed tonight isn't super concerning to me, because I really do feel like that's just kind of a one-off. I mean, how often do we see this Nuggets team miss as many wide open shots as we did tonight? You hardly ever see it to that level. Maybe, like I said, maybe there's a quarter where they do that, but for a whole game for that to happen was really just crazy about tonight's basketball game. But yeah, and like I said, this is not going to get any easier for the Nuggets when it comes to the remainder of this road trip. They've got a game tomorrow night in Detroit, and then on Sunday, early matinee game day. Get your mimosas on, get your drink on at brunch, and then come watch the Nuggets, because they play at 11 o'clock in the morning on Sunday against the defending NBA champions. All right, let's hear a little bit from Nuggets head coach Michael Malone. He spoke to the media after the game.
Felt like everybody besides Nikola just had an off shooting night tonight. What do you attribute that to?
Oh, good question. I don't know if I have an answer right now why we struggle to make shots. And that's why I just
9
told
of
our guys,
34 from
when you
three.
dominate the paint, you dominate the glass, you dominate transition. All three of those areas, we're heavily in our favor, and you lose the game. Obviously, we fouled too much, and I mean, for there to be a 28-11 differential is just crazy to me. I was trying to talk to the referees all night long about that one, because we are a team that attacks. We had 32 in transition. We had 68 in the paint, and we just couldn't get, a foul call. But I think the big thing was, we really struggled to make shots, and we really struggled to finish tonight. And we easily could have had 70 to 80 in the paint, but we missed a bunch of bunnies, bunch of easy ones.
Yep.
And think about the free throw that we missed late. Michael Porter gets the offense rebound, gets a great look, has a chance to cut it to 5. And we just couldn't make enough shots. And I felt our defense for the first 3 quarters was really good. And then I thought a really important stretch was the start of that fourth quarter. AJ Green got open twice for threes. And anytime Dame and Giannis are both out, you can't lose those minutes against that team. And we did tonight. And that was a big stretch.
Okay, so there is Nuggets head coach Mike Malone. Yeah, pretty much just echoing what I've been talking about, like missing shots. They were still in this thing in the fourth quarter. Like, they definitely had a shot to win this, and then the defense just absolutely collapsed tonight for the Denver Nuggets. So Malone just said it all right there. They just couldn't make shots. I mean, that's really what this game came down to tonight. And again, like, easy shots right around the rim. Besides Joker, the other guy for the Nuggets that I thought was actually pretty good around the rim tonight was Jamal Murray. In fact, to start the second quarter, he was getting to the rim pretty easily early on in that second quarter, getting cool layups. He had that one sick transition layup where he's like looking off the dude the whole time and then just throws it up with his left hand. I thought that was awesome. Just it was like a looking off his safety in the NFL type of thing. So that was a really cool moment. But look, Jamal, he's got to get going earlier in games. He had no points in the first quarter. And now he finishes with a decent game tonight. 20 points, a 9 of 20 shooting, 2 of 5 from 3. Okay, it's so. 5 assists, 3 rebounds. But they've got to figure out a way to get Jamal Murray going earlier on in games, because when that happens, the Nuggets are really, really difficult to beat. But Jamal cannot go scoreless in the first quarter, and especially on the road against a very good basketball team, and expect to win these games. You absolutely cannot have that. And then, Julian Strawther, what a roller coaster he's been on this year. Decent bounce back game, actually, I thought, for Julian. He's really been up and down this year. He's going through a bit of a valley right now, but I thought tonight he at least looked more confident. He was easily the Nuggets' best three-point shooter tonight, even though he just went 2 for 4. I mean, that's how bad the Nuggets were beyond the three-point line. But just look at these three-pointers from your starters. Aaron Gordon, 1 of 6. MPJ, 2 for 11. Jokic, 1 for 2. Okay. Jamal, 2 for 5, and then CB, 0 for 2. And then Russ was 1 of 4 on the bench. So, the Nuggets shoot 9 of 34 overall from the three-point line, 26.5%. That is not good. Whereas the Bucks shot 14 of 34 for 41.2%. So, the Nuggets, like Malone just said there, I mean, they won in a lot of areas in tonight's game. They out-rebounded Milwaukee 55-48. They had more assists than the Bucks, 28-25. Tied in steals. They only had 2 more turnovers, only 13 turnovers tonight for Denver, which is honestly not that's a pretty good number. Now, the Bucks only had 11. So the Nuggets weren't getting a lot of those easy transition buckets tonight from turnovers, but fast break points, 32-16 in favor of the Denver Nuggets. Points in the paint, 68 for Denver, 42 for Milwaukee. And you lose the game. That's tough. And again, the three-point line and the fouls. The Nuggets had 17 fouls, the Bucks had 11. There's your ball game. So, look, tough loss for the Nuggets tonight. We'll see how it goes coming up tomorrow night in Detroit against a red-hot Detroit Pistons team. In fact, they are sitting at, they're with Milwaukee's win tonight. They actually moved up into the 5 seed. So Detroit is currently in the 6 seed, but they're 33-26 on the year. They've won 8 in a row. They're 8-2 over their last 10, and they're playing really good basketball right now. And Cade Cunningham, I'm telling you, that guy's legit. I mean, he reminds me a lot of Carmelo Anthony. Like, he's just pure scorer. That dude can absolutely score the basketball. So, look, we'll be back tomorrow night for Nuggets and Pistons reaction, but tough loss in Milwaukee. The Nuggets fall to the Bucks 121-112 is your final, and we'll see if they can get a rebound victory tomorrow night against the Pistons. That's going to do it for the post-game show tonight, everybody. Thank you so much for listening to In the Paint right here on Altitude Sports Radio.